Aljo versus Dillashaw. This appears to be done. I know that we've heard that for a while, guys, but it does appear to be done. And even while we were hearing the rumblings and the rumors of this, one thing we've never been told is when could Dillashaw be back? Right? Don't forget, the only reason TJ's been out, the only reason he hasn't been in there fighting for championships or in main events, he hurt something. Was it his shoulder? Did he hurt his shoulder in the Sandhagen fight? But we've never been told when he's going to be back. All right, great. It looks like we've got some clarity, even though it wasn't crystal clear. It's going to be Aljo, it's going to be Dillashaw, and Aljo's the favorite. Does that surprise you? The official favorite at DraftKings right now is Aljo is favored over Dillashaw. That surprised me. And you know what else it means, guys? And I'm fine with that. This is a good fight. This is a hard fight. That did surprise me, though. Henry. What's it mean for Henry? And this has been a botched return as best I can tell. And I haven't wanted to admit that. I haven't wanted to admit that because I haven't believed it's true. I haven't believed it's true because Henry Cejudo, when he entered the USADA testing pool, made headlines all around the MMA world. That does not happen. The only time an athlete and USADA make headlines is when the athlete pisses hot. That's it. Henry made front page news on ESPN.com just for entering the pool. And that meant something to me. I said, but whoa, this Henry return's a big deal. And then we went to get clarity on that. Hey, has it got to be 4 months? Does it have to be 6 months? There's something about if a guy, it's only 2 months. How long does Henry need to be in the pool? We've never been given an answer. Ever. And that was my first clue, is there's trouble in paradise. My first clue is that we wouldn't wrap that up and make that clear to the audience. Then Henry starts doing his back and forth. He's going to be going after Volkanovski. He's going to be looking at Aljo. He's going to go back and forth. Somewhere Conor McGregor got thrown in there, but as I'm watching this, and it's working, it's getting chattered, it's making headlines. I'm thinking, Henry's got this thing. Henry's got this thing right by the balls here. Everything's going Henry's way. It even looked at one point that Henry was the one making the choice. Do I want to go to 45? And he might not have been guaranteed Volkanovski, but he was guaranteed Max. I mean, he was to this level where, hey, I can't promise you a title fight, but I can promise you one away. You want to come and do 45, you got to show me one. But I'll make it, though, one. So he's in this really good spot. That's all that I'm bringing up. And the more the time goes by, the more I start looking and going, am I being duped? Is Henry not in this tremendous spot? Is the UFC not welcoming him back with open arms? Is this as simple as TJ was promised the fight, we're going to go on with it? Henry, you're working some calendar dates out with USADA. This whole thing's going to balance in the end. And Henry, you're going to see the winner of Dillashaw versus Sterling. Is it? I mean, if it is, why hasn't somebody told us? And every time that I think Henry's got this whole thing figured out, I get confronted with some other information. That the media does seem to be gravitating towards Henry. Henry seems to be able to say any fighter's name and get a tremendous response. We just saw that with Sugar Sean. Henry seems to be able to get in there and poke and claw and do some very interesting things. Somebody is meeting this deal with resistance. Even if we're going to see Dillashaw versus Aljo, and just because that fight was announced, I mean, this fight's been rumored for a month, just because it's announced isn't where I'm just throwing the baby out with the bathwater here as it pertains to Henry. There's some other things that I'm seeing that are making me say, hey, wait a minute, somebody, whether it's Henry's team, whether it's the proposed opponents, or they're on a second floor of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, somebody is not meeting this return with the open arms that the media and the headlines once led us to do. Now, I have a problem as a Henry supporter, and it's only one. And that problem is I just don't know what weight he wants to go. Now, that can be manipulated, and that can be used for positive, guys. You don't know what weight Conor McGregor is going to go. We do not know if he's going to be a 55 or a 70-pounder. Most 55-pounders are calling him out. I feel very strongly he's going to return at 170. My only point being, picking and identifying the weight class as opposed to making us wonder, no problem. You got no problem there. There's a way to play it. What I'm sharing with you is Conor knows what weight he's going to go. He hasn't just come and told us. I don't think Henry knows. I don't think Henry has sold himself on the idea of returning to 135. I think that Henry, as he's getting back into training, but he's also a father and a husband and a commentator. He's a coach. I think he's seen that life can just be more pleasurable with a few more pounds on. I went through it. I mean, I can attest to it. Nobody's ever moved up in weight and said, oh, that experience was worse than sweating it out in the sauna. And I do think that it's very real. I'm not sure that Henry, within his own heart, right? Because if I'm right and something is amiss here, on Henry's team, on the competition's team, or on the second floor of the UFC, something appears not to be on the same page. But if I'm right on that, Henry not identifying what weight class he's going to go could explain all of that. What do you want Sean Shelby to do? How do you want Mick Maynard to do a booking if they don't know what weight class? So I'm only suggesting that, but I do suggest there could be some trouble in paradise. And I also suggest for you that there was either 2, 4, or 6 months that you got to be in the USADA pool. Henry's on 3. That's off the top of my head. We're sitting on 3 right now. Right now, a couple weeks left and we'll be at 3. So he's either satisfied by the rumor that there's 2. He's 2 weeks from satisfying it if the rumor is 4, or he's ready to sign a fight if the rumor's 6. And one of those is true. So it would seem as though it's time to buckle down. I don't know if Henry has ever been in bigger demand for 145 pounds. I think that was a long shot from Jump Street, but I don't know that he's ever been in a better position at 145 pounds than he is right now. Volkanovski has said he wants to leave the division. That's not because he's pissing on his own division. It's not because he doesn't respect those guys. It's because he's fought them and he wants something new to do. That was all 155 pounds was about. Let me go stare at some new names, some new tape, some new film. Let me get these guys that have been on my mind for 5 years out. It's a very relieving thing as an athlete. It's a very seductive proposition. Well, Henry would satisfy that. Volkanovski's going to go get this hand surgery business. Emmett and Rodriguez could be fighting for an interim championship, says you. Nobody has said that but you. There's no confirmation on that. Emmett and Rodriguez don't appear to want to fight each other. And I don't mean that they wouldn't sign contracts and step into the octagon. I mean, they don't understand that both guys have equal argument to be a number one contender, which means you guys are now in a fight. You're in a fight through the media. The most interesting thing that Josh Emmett has said since he's been put in this position is that he had bad seats to a UFC. I like Josh Emmett. I'm a believer, man. I'm a believer. I will do what I can to help that cause. But the only thing that he said worth a goddamn is that he didn't have good seats to a UFC. Yuri Rodriguez says that he was promised a number one contendership. He goes out there, does the unthinkable. He was a 16-1 underdog to do it, which was to submit Brian Ortega in the very first round via arm lock. He succeeds at that, lets the commission call it a TKO, and moves on about his day. Okay, great. If you guys don't want to fight, Henry, step forward. Henry has never been more interested. I'm not telling you that I would predict he could get the fight. I'm telling you what the score is. It's Josh Emmett, bad seats. It's Rodriguez, bad call. It's Henry Cejudo, your move.